Dude, how are you doing? What's going on? How have you been? What is happening in your life?
Oh man, I don't know. So it's weird, like where to start kind of thing, because there's so much. You'd think that I would get less busy,
Yeah.
but which you probably know too. Somehow I've gotten busier, but it's cool, like in a good way.
So here's my question about that because
Yeah,
I struggle with this.
sure.
I have become the worst boss I've ever had
Oh God,
because I have to book all my own stuff and I've got to
sure.
schedule my things. I was used to just having stuff pop up in an app and I could just be led by the nose like a dummy of like,
Yep.
log into this, be here, be there. Where all of a sudden I'm the one that's in the driver's seat, which is great. But like time management, like that's a whole other skill set that I'm like, oh shit, I'm in charge of all of this.
Yes. Well, you're
It's
a mother now,
hard.
so you got to step it up. You know what I mean?
I've got mom brain. I don't
That's
know
right.
what's going on ever.
Yeah.
I'm literally conducting this interview standing up with a baby on my chest. We're coping over here. We're coping at this moment.
Surprisingly enough, I wouldn't expect anything less from you.
Okay, what have you been so damn busy with?
So luckily, like you said, once you kind of take away the app part, you have to organize all your stuff. So luckily, I'm kind of like half psycho where I need to like, I'm so ridiculously organized. Otherwise, my world
you can
falls.
be my like what's her name? The like the chick on Netflix. Just it's like she organizes everybody's life. You can be
Oh, yeah. So like I have to do that. Otherwise, my life turns to chaos. Like it feels like I can't get anything done and whatever. So I have like a list in my phone that's constantly being updated of my to-do list. Mm-hmm. I have a calendar on my pantry door with like the little like the dry eraser, you know what I mean? So I can just add that I got to see it and I got to do it. And I like constantly just check it throughout the day. But so obviously, when you get the call to, hey, you don't have to wrestle anymore. I went, okay, what can I do? So we had been streaming on Twitch like years before, and then we had to shut it down when everybody shut it down. So I fired that back up immediately.
Yeah.
And was like, okay, cool. Like here's one thing. Cause like we wanted to do it anyway. So we started streaming. Obviously we still had the wrestling school going, because it was already going. So that just continues. And then I was like, well, I could do like some appearances maybe here and there, but I really don't have an intention of wrestling in the near future.
Yeah.
So I kind of put out like, yeah, I'm taking appearances, and people started booking me for appearances and signings. And I went, okay, so like, there's a lot that I can
bumps and you can still get paid. Hell yeah.
Exactly. So like once you open up that world, there's a lot of random stuff that you can do that you don't even think about that can make you money and replace kind of that income. So aside from basically doing like some streaming stuff, teaching at the school, I think at the time I was just finishing up another rental property. So like, I manage my rental stuff too. Like I don't have a company that does it.
You're a madman. Good.
Having all that on the go, I was like, you know what? I'm okay with this right now. I like being this busy.
How many rental properties do you
have? 3. Well, like 3.5 right now, because we have student rentals as well.
Okay.
But I'm like half with that with Spears, so 3.5.
Crazy. So I mean, I've always kind of found this fascinating about you because you've always been having this sort of side hustle, even when you were in WWE. Yeah. So when this came about that, you were released, they're cutting everybody, blah, blah, blah. Your ducks were already in a row. Like it didn't come as that big of a shock or financially hit you as bad as it could have.
No, God, no. So like, I mean, obviously I was trying to think of this the other day. So when did you get to WWE?
I got to WWE. Well, I probably would have met you in 2013 because I signed in 2012, but I didn't start on the road or doing anything at NXT until 2013.
And then you started down in NXT interviewing.
Yes.
So, because I remember that's when I met you.
Yeah.
And we did a ton of interview stuff together. And it was a blast. So much. And
also you like impersonated me.
I did. Tanae Young was a huge hit. Tanae Young was a huge hit.
Please, producer wise, can we add a photo of Tanae Young into this? Are we allowed to do that? I don't know if we're allowed, but if we're allowed,
of course.
Please get
her. You can do anything. You can do anything.
Get her in
nowadays.
there. What a wig.
That was great. That was a great time.
We got to work a ton together. I mean, how long had you been at NXT before Tyler Brees became a thing?
Maybe 3 years. I got there 2010 in FCW still, so NXT didn't exist. And then by 2013, I think, oh no, 2014. So end of 2013, started 2014, where basically, so in 4 years, I think they had tried to fire me like 3-4 times, maybe. Usually it was every six.
Suckers.
Yeah, usually it was every 6 months to a year. I was about to get fired, and then some miracle would happen, and I would. So obviously, like when you're almost on the chopping block every 6 months, you start to prepare for that type of thing. Luckily, like I was literally, I was essentially prepared every 6 months to get the call, and it never happened for 11 years. So I had just been preparing.
Just scrounge away a bunch of money in those 11 years.
I was like, when they do, because this is going to happen someday, I'm not going to have something that saves me. And luckily, like I said, 11 years is ridiculous. It's like double what the average lifespan is there. Yeah. So I was fully prepared and branching out into what the hell else I can do.
It's funny because I feel like when I started to really notice that, I was like, oh, what is Brees doing? What's going on over here? Because all of a sudden you've got like your Louis shoes, your Louis belt. I'm like, he's got a side hustle going. I mean, WWE pays well to begin with.
Yeah.
But it's somebody that I know that you're like a money saver. I'm like, he's not just buying shit frivolously to buy shit frivolously.
Yeah, that was very, it was very tactically done. So it's done so that, you have to be successful. You also have to appear successful to people.
True. Oh my God. That's really true. And that's something that I certainly forget sometimes. I mean,
yes.
Look at me. I'm like, hey, here we are.
Both of us. and that's the thing is like, and I'll kind of be surprised at it. It's one thing that we kind of try to instill. It's going away a little bit, which I don't like, but it needs to kind of, we tell our students all the time, like, it's the old adage of, dress for the job that you want. Like if I'm not going to show up as an extra at WWE or AEW and look like a schlub, you know what I mean? Like I got to look like I belong.
Though I feel like I don't remember you being a suit guy.
So, okay. So this is funny. So when I got hired by WWE, I was like 22, 23. And up until that point, I lived in Canada. I worked at a homeless shelter. I worked at a railroad. Like I did all this random stuff. I lived in sweatpants and hoodies because I lived in Calgary.
Sure.
Right. So I never owned a pair of like dress clothes at all. And so when I got hired, I moved down and I was living with Jinder Mahal, and I went like, okay, so like, what do I do here? And he's like, would you have like a dress shirt? I said, no. He said, do you have dress shoes? No. Do you have a belt? No. Do you have a dress pant? No, I have nothing. So he took me to Express, which I have no clue what it is.
Yeah.
And I ended up spending like $600 on like these like V-neck t-shirts and like these vests and these whatever. And I basically loaded up on like this dress stuff. So because at the time there was kind of a dress code, but not like a suit and tie. Like it would go through the phases where it's like, you have to wear a suit.
Yeah. You were like a vest and t-shirt guy. Now that you said it's like, I can fully picture the outfit at this point.
That was my go-to. If I wore nice shoes with some dress pants and a belt, I could wear a V-neck t-shirt with a vest over top and it looked spot on.
The system.
That's right. So it was comfortable enough, but it wasn't like a necktie, you know what I mean? So then obviously I did that for years and years and years until I was like, okay, you know what? Let's step it up to a suit, or let's get some like, designer looking stuff. And just, it's one of those things that every time I try to do it with my gear too, obviously with the character that I chose too, I can't just walk in. I got to look a little bit different than the average person because I'm supposed to be this male model fashion guy. So like my gear, I made sure that I told Sue, my gear lady, like I want every gear it's got to be nice material that I probably can only wear a couple times.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I put on a pair of gear, like brand new, and I walk out the locker room, I want everybody to go, oh, that's cool. That looks really nice. And almost 100% of the time it worked. And then I did it in the same, like in my biz cash stuff of like, oh man, look at those shoes. Oh man, look at this. Like it just became like almost a game. You know what I mean? It's
got to be fun. I feel like putting the gear together for Tyler Brees because it was so loud and so over the top. Like, because I find sometimes like with John, if he's like, oh, I need like new jeans, like he is so bound to that minimalist look that he kind of painted himself into a corner with it, where you had like this broad spectrum of like, I'm going to add a boa, I'm going to add these feathers and furry boots and different material. Like you could really mess around with that. How much do you think you've spent on Tyler Brees gear?
Oh God. So here's the thing. You'll love this because we were talking about side hustles and stuff like that. So, I've actually probably turned a profit from making gear.
Oh,
because almost everything that I've worn, I've sold.
Got some gear sniffers online, huh?
That's right. That's right. There's always, at one point, like I would wear something once or twice and then I'd sell it and I'd make money on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, great. Like I'm actually in the green, the more gear that I get made, and it keeps my look fresh and everything else.
That's so smart. You know, it's very similar to when I had Zach Ryder on here and we were talking about that and how, I know he's a big proponent of doing things like that as well, along with, the action figures and whatnot, but there's always money to be made in these like other little places that you don't really think about.
You'd be very surprised. And like random stuff that you would just throw away and not think anything of it. Someone will probably buy it.
Wants that.
Yeah, I mean, like they'll buy Randy Orton signed wrist tape. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just how it is.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, hey, get that money. Get that money.
Right.
Make it rain.
Right.